Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and those who don't identify as either, you are listening to Ratchet and Respectable. I don't know where we're going today with this podcast. There's so much going on. I am so, as my pastor said on Sunday, overwhelmed. I've hit my ceiling with all that I can process right now. Yesterday, Tuesday, is usually when I record the podcast. I was like, I need to get away from my laptop. I need to get away from my laptop. I need to get away from my phone. I need to get out this house. I need to go. Oddly enough, I ended up going to DC. I've been avoiding DC, but Union Market is one of my happy places. One of my friends was in town. She just got back from Thailand, and I'm obsessed with Thailand. If you're a regular listener to this podcast, you know at one point I was supposed to do an Asia tour. And then I had to have surgery. I had 2 surgeries last year, so I wasn't able to pull Asia off. And this year I decided to buy a condo. So I've been focused on getting that renovated, and contracting things are not, right now they're going well, other than building management like harassing me about the noise, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, but I need to focus on something else other than the current news cycles, because we're going to talk about it, but it's a lot. So I went to hang out with my friend and let her tell me about her adventures in Thailand and the amazing food, looking at the beauty of historical sites, and just being outside. I kind of miss right now being on the other side of Earth. Like, I have mixed feelings about having to get on a plane in November to go back overseas. Like, I really want to, but also like I kind of like my American life. Let's start with some housekeeping. The Ratchet and Respectable merchandise, the pre-sales have ended. Thank you to all who have purchased. Thank you to all who have sent emails. And they were like, so Ratchet and Respectable, you need to put that out. That's very lovely. But Season World, are we getting Season World? Are we getting Season World? Do y'all need Season World right now? I was going to hold it till April. There's technically time to do a drop. If you need Season World merchandise, let me know. If enough people let me know, I'll try to put a drop together. And let me know colorways too. We're not doing neutrals again. We need something else. Is there something else? No. Okay. Good Black news. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of it this week. I heard about 2 good things specifically from the Emmys. Trammel Tillman from Severance, which I started watching because I saw a clip of him dancing. I saw a clip of it and I was like, what is happening here? And I started asking, and people were like, oh my God, you got to watch Severance. I've watched like 2.5 episodes. It's okay. That said, doesn't mean it's a bad show. It took me 2 times to get into Snowfall and The Wire as well. Maybe I need to be in the right mindset to watch it. I don't know. But congratulations to Trammel Tillman. I read that he is from the DC area. He won an Emmy for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Drama Series for his role on Severance. He is the first Black man, like ever, in the 77-year history of the Emmys to win in this category. And I was like, the first Black supporting actor in a drama in 77 years? Like, there was nobody else? Like, nobody? Nobody. Not that nobody was good, but nobody won. So congratulations to Trammel Tillman on his win and also being a Black first. We also found out that somebody is like part Black, and I was like, wait a minute. I just finished watching Boardwalk Empire. I needed something to watch after Gilded Age. And Boardwalk Empire is another period piece. It's nothing like Gilded Age whatsoever, although it does have good costumes. But the actor Stephen Graham in Boardwalk Empire, he plays Al Capone, and he won an Emmy the other night as well. 2 big revelations. One, I thought this was an Italian man because of the role that he played in Boardwalk Empire. You could not have told me that man wasn't Italian. And he has like a darker hue, but like maybe he's Sicilian, Italian. Okay. Come to find out, he's a British actor. I saw the clip from his speech at the Emmys and I was like, where did that accent come from? He was a good actor on Boardwalk Empire. And I was like, wait, you was really out here doing a whole American accent? I had no idea. But he is a British actor. He plays on Adolescence on Netflix, which I'll be 100% with you, I never even heard of. Best lead actor in a limited series. So they call his name and he goes up on stage. He starts talking. And I was like, wait, what? He says, this kind of thing doesn't normally happen to a kid like me. This is his speech. He continues, I'm just a mixed race kid from a block off flats in a place called Kirkby. Excuse me? Run that back. I was like, does mixed mean something different in British English than it does in like American English? There are distinctions. There are differences. There's tons of spelling differences. Like, what? Apparently, his dad is half Jamaican because his grandfather was full Jamaican. And, Jamaicans come in a variety of shades and colors. There's a ton of Asian Jamaicans. But, like, no, his dad is a half Black Jamaican man. And then his grandfather was a full Black Jamaican man. And I looked to see if there were pictures of Mr. Graham as a young man with his father. And lo and behold, like, his father is unmistakably like Black. You wouldn't look at his father and think he was mixed. Like, he's straight up Black. And I was like, oh, I'm not mad at it, obviously. I had no clue that Stephen Graham would be welcome at the cookout. I didn't know. Who knew? I mean, he knew, but who else knew? Also in good news this week, Lil Nas X, he is getting treatment. Remember he had a little incident not so long ago. Was it a month ago? But Rolling Stone reports that Montero Hill, that's his government, is in treatment at an undisclosed facility in another state, not California, following his arrest and arraignment on felony charges last month. The Superior Court judge ruled, quote, defendant is allowed to remain out of state as long as he remains in treatment. She modified the conditions of his release to allow for the ongoing inpatient care. The judge has sealed the details of the type of care that he's seeking. X's lawyer released a statement regarding his client. He says, quote, we're doing what is best for Montero from a personal standpoint and a professional standpoint, but most importantly for his well-being. He is surrounded by an amazing family, an amazing team of people that care about him and love him, and we're just addressing those issues. It's really as simple as that. He's had a great life. He'll continue to have a great life. This is a bump that he's going to get over. Good. This is what I like to hear. I like to hear that he's getting professional help and that he's going to emerge victorious. This is what I want for him. Rolling Stone gives a refresher that in August, that Lil Nas X was charged with 3 felony counts of battery with injury on a police officer and 1 felony count of resisting an executive officer. This is after he was found, quote, strolling naked along Ventura Boulevard at 5:40 a.m. on August 21st. So all the best for Lil Nas X. We are hoping for a full recovery, personally and professionally. I think this is our last good piece of news. Cardi B. She has an album coming out very soon, maybe next week. Her second album, has it been 7 years since the first one? Am I the Drama? She has been on an amazing press run for this album. She's done a full-scale rollout like people used to do like 20 years ago. The Clips did a good rollout for theirs. And I was like, oh, rollouts are back. Okay. It's been really fun to watch her go with this one. The court case came at the perfect time. I wonder if that was intentional planning or just dropped at the right time. But Cardi being on the stand and then videos of it going everywhere, her being memed and having so much personality, so many quotables, especially the one with her, pointing out that the girl was, what did she say? She looked like she could secure a building. Is that the quote? Cardi. But she looks fabulous and she's had great personality. And then there's, also been the speculation for months, we mentioned it on here, that she was very pregnant with her 4th child. Cardi has not said anything about it up until literally today, but she's looked visibly pregnant. She likes her cosmetic surgery. There's a certain aesthetic that she likes to have, which, like the big boobs, the little tiny waist and the big old booty. As of late, the waist has not been as tiny, which which has not been looking the way that it has looked previously. And it appeared that, she's had more than just a full meal. And I was like, until she says something, I say nothing. Whatever's going on with her, that's her uterus, her vagina to use as she sees fit. And she has seen fit to use it with her boyfriend, Stefan Diggs. So she was on Gayle King this morning as part of the album rollout. Gayle asked her if there was, anything that you would like to share. There's been lots of speculations and she's not said anything, but would you like to share anything at all, with us while you're here? And Cardi was like, well, she told Gayle she was pregnant with her 4th child, her first with her current boyfriend. And she told Gayle that she was literally the first to know. Cardi said that she hadn't even told her parents yet, which I was like, I hope that's some shit she was just saying for TV. And your mama didn't just find out she was pregnant. You don't think your mama knew you was pregnant? If I could look at you and see your midsection has expanded, You don't think your mama could see that? Sis. So I hope what she just said to Gail was just like some hyperbole for TV. I totally get why she didn't say anything because as much as people were like, we know, good for Cardi, congratulations, like babies are blessing, there were an equal, if not more people who had much criticism for her being pregnant. I screenshotted this woman in the comments today and I was like, if anybody ever asked, like, well, why wouldn't you say something? Like, why would she? Because people online can just be so viciously nasty just because they can be. But this woman commented, a waste of a career. She will never amount to nothing but being somebody's baby mama. Cardi got like a Grammy, right? And like tons of other awards, magazine covers. Like if Cardi never released another album, like if she pulled a Lauryn Hill and just coasted off of Bodak Yellow for like the rest of her professional career, Lauryn Hill has maintained a 25-year career off of one studio album, that double disc unplugged album, and then dropping a few strategic singles here and there. And I was like, Cardi will be fine. She's made her millions. No one she's created will starve, and neither will she. She'll be fine. So like, okay, so she's having a baby with the boyfriend now, right? People who speak like this are big respectability politics people. She had her first 3 children while she was married. Like, is she still quote unquote a baby mama? I was about to say, I was like, or is she like an ex-wife? But the truth of the matter is, I still think they're married. It's a little messy. It's a lot messy. It's messy. It's messy. It's messy. It's not my uterus. It's not my vagina. I manage my own to the best of my abilities. How she chooses to manage hers is fine. If we had different contexts for the world going on around us, if things were, pretty decent and not like a utter and complete shit show, I might have more commentary on Cardi being married and pregnant by her new boyfriend who doesn't have the greatest reputation. There's so much other shit going on in the world. I can't care as much as I might have at one point. I mean, care enough to actually address it as a topic, not care enough where I think about it more than the time it takes me to release the words from my mouth. But it's too much other stuff going on. There's a possible lynching. We're going to talk about that. Okay, maybe I'm reaching. I'm trying to find as much good Black news as I can. People are in love, seemingly. I'm trying, y'all. Papoose and his girlfriend, Clarissa Shields. I told you she flipped on me in the comment section. She flips on a lot of people. It's not like personal. She's a little insecure about people talking about her boyfriend still being a married man. Remy and Papoose were once a very beloved couple. They have been messy online. Remy has a new boo. Papoose clearly has a new boo. They went on Tamron Hall together to talk about their love. And I was like, hey. Remy and Papoose, they're separated people. I don't believe that they're getting back together. You never know. Because Eva Marcel, model Eva, calling her with a last name feels weird. So I'm like, she just goes by Eva. We don't talk about her with her last name. But she had divorced her husband. And then they circled the block. They are not only just back together, but they're like official. Like they got remarried in the whole 9 yards. Like it's legal. People can be separated, even go as far as to get a full divorce and then find themselves back together. It happens. I've seen it happen in my own life. Not like in my actual life, because that'll never fucking happen. But like, in the life of my parents' friends, people go away and live their separate lives. And then at some point, life brings them back together. I don't really see that for Papoose and Remy. I'm not mad that Papoose and Clarissa are dating. Maybe this is the auntie in me coming out, which last episode, I was trying to figure out like what Young Thug meant when he called Glorilla twin. I was so confused. People wrote in and was like, hey, auntie, it's a way of saying like friend. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, I mean, I am a woman of a certain age. I mean, maybe I'll accept auntie from people under 30. Before it was under 25. If you're under 30, I will accept auntie from you now. We can raise the bar. But I was like, am I off into the world just as like full-time auntie in every endeavor? I have my hair pulled back because it's just twisted out my hair all the time. It's getting on my nerves. I have it slicked back. And my dad told me, he was like, you look young. You look like 10 years younger. And I was like, Daddy, did I not look young with my hair out? And he said, oh, you look nice. That's what I meant. None of this is the point. The point is, I just do not like Clarissa with Papoose. I don't. We talked about when Remy and Papoose and Clarissa Shields were all going back and forth online. Remy had addressed Clarissa in a live, and she was like, hey, by all means, you're a successful woman, right? You got a lot going on for you. You don't have any kids. Why are you over here messing with this 40-something-year-old man whose oldest child is just a few years younger from you, who got a little child too, the child that Remy and Pap share together? You know, he's out here messy online in a public feud with his wife. What are you doing? Where are your friends to tell you? You're not going to listen because it's coming from me, but somebody in your circle who you respect, who loves you, who cares, should be telling you this, and you should listen. It's the God's honest truth. Y'all want to date? It is what it is. I just don't see like the need to publicly parade. First and foremost, Papoose, because like you're the one who's married. You know you still married. Y'all have not really gone your separate ways, socially, emotionally, physically, but legally, y'all still entangled. Like, just finish your business. Finish your business, and then you could go and parade with your new young boo anywhere that y'all want. Go all the red carpets, all the vacations, all the IG lives, all the videos. Make some sex tapes if you want. Y'all grown. And to Clarissa, I say the same. I'm like, ma'am, is God's plan for you really somebody else's husband? It could be tempting because he's separated. I'm sure he says and does all of the right things. Like for many, many years, publicly, Remy had no complaints about Papoose. Their relationship was looked at as a love story. That was on Remy and that was on Pap. I feel like there's a way to do things decent and in order. And I have not always done things decent and in order. I'm just like, it doesn't have to be this way. Like, you can spend your lovely time together if that's what you choose to do. But just parading around like as a married man and with a married man, it leaves a poor taste in my mouth. It does. Just go handle your affairs. And then, so you're not having an affair. And then, begin your new life. And I know folks would be like, hey, you got a lot for, Clarissa and Papoose. She tattooed Papoose. And I was like, he must be slanging that thing. You tattooed somebody else's husband on your body. Ma'am, I get it. You caught up. I get it. I don't want nothing that good. I don't want nothing that good. I don't want nothing that big. I don't want nothing that good. I don't want nothing to stroke like that. I don't want it. I don't want it so good it makes me stupid. I don't. That's what I was going to say. I was like, I know people be like, well, you got a lot of heat for Clarissa and Papoose, but you don't have that heat for like Cardi and Stefan. For some reason, I need to investigate that because I wrote about it on Facebook earlier and I was like, I'm being a hypocrite here. Like the Cardi thing doesn't really bother me as much as the Papoose Clarissa thing. I mean, it's all messy. I'm just kind of glad Cardi got away from Offset because I don't know why. Maybe I just like Cardi. Clarissa just be mean all the time. I don't know. I shouldn't make a distinction, and somehow I do, and I'm not really sure why. I really don't know why. I want the best for both women and the men. Let's just move on. Everything else on our list is a complete shit show. Well, no, this is kind of good Black news. It's sad. Michael Jamal Warner, he passed away maybe like a little bit over a month ago. His mother did a sit down on Good Morning America with Robin. Such a beautiful woman, very graceful, very gracious. Michael Jamal Warner took her whole face, like he is the male version of her face. I watched a snippet of the interview, and I don't know what it is about the way his mother spoke, but I had to look up, and I was like, was he an only child? He was. She lost her baby, her only baby. Mama Warner is Pamela Warner. She said some of the details that people were talking about online, they got it wrong. She said he did die of a drowning. He was brought to shore by a volunteer lifeguard and another surfer. His death was ruled accidental. She said he was in the water. She said there was an undertow. She said her son was not an experienced swimmer and he didn't know how to deal. She said previous reports stated that, I'm tearing up just reading this. Previous reports stated that the actor drowned trying to save his daughter. And she said that wasn't accurate. She said he was in the water with another man who was also caught in the undertow, but that man was able to rescue himself. She said that man was a more experienced swimmer. She said the day she found out about the death of her son, she said she let out a scream from the bottom of my soul, which alerted those who lived near her. She says what came up and what came out was huge. It was an indescribable pain that resonated through my body. She said while her son's death is obviously still painful, she says she's at peace with everything that happened and that she acknowledges it was, quote, his time. That was the manner in which he was to transition, and this is what I believe and what I feel. She said she's very grateful to have been chosen to be his mother. She said, I think more than anything, I'm at peace with everything that happened. There was nothing left on the table. There was no shoulda, coulda, woulda. I wish I would have said this. I wish I would have done this. I don't have that. I feel that mm, our journey together as mother and son was complete. Oh, God. She notes that her son is survived by his wife, Tanisha, and their daughter. Mama Warner says that wife and daughter obviously are still grieving. She said of the daughter, she doesn't give her name, protecting her privacy, which is I think is good. She says children process differently. The granddaughter watched them resuscitate Malcolm or try to resuscitate him. She saw that, and I know that's awfully, awfully traumatic. She loved her father dearly. She adored Papa. He was Papa, and so they're both in deep grief. Mama Warner encouraged fans, friends, colleagues of Malcolm Jamal Warner. She said, quote, love where you can, give where you can, just be better, because that's what he wanted and that's what he was working toward. We can all be better selves. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. I ain't never met this man. And somehow this man is like my big brother. It's such a tragedy. I thank his mother for sharing herself and her stories, his wife's story, the child's story with us. We didn't deserve that. She gave us more than she had to. That's all I got. I'm about to go cry. Also, while we're on the subject of passings, the Emmys the other day, I should have brought this up when we talked about the wins, trying to just give people the little bit of joy that we can find before we talk about the crazy shit. D from What's Happening? Remember that show? I mean, it's actually before my lifetime. Danielle Spencer, popular 70s sitcom. I watched reruns because I wasn't born yet. But she was a really, really popular character. She was kind of like, if you will, almost like the original Rudy. And she passed away earlier this year at the age of 60. She didn't stay in Hollywood. She'd gone on to be a veterinarian. But the Emmys did a tribute to all the Hollywood people who had passed away. And they didn't mention her. They didn't mention Danielle Spencer. She was omitted from their recognition. So her good friend, Holly Robinson Peete, expressed outrage that her friend was not mentioned. She posted on social media that, quote, it was an injustice to Danielle Spencer's legacy. And she said that the Emmys tribute should focus more on the photos of the deceased rather than a live performance. So we just want to take a moment here to recognize Danielle Spencer. Can't cover everything. There's too much. There's too much. And I don't even know where to begin. I'm so tired of talking about this man. Charlie Kirk, I'm so tired of talking about this man. But he's dominating the news cycle. Actually, first, we're not going to talk about him. We're not going to prioritize him. Let's go through a list of highlights of crazy, because I can't delve into all of them. I mean, some of these could be a whole episode on their own. But I made a list. This is literally I did a podcast on Monday. I'm recording on Wednesday. This is stuff from Monday through Wednesday. Dear leader, Wig has sued the New York Times for 15 billion with a B, American USD dollars and dineros. I was like, 15 billion? Like, what all is he accusing him of? I got a hold of the lawsuit. We're not going to read it. The parts that I read on the lawsuit, he's upset that the New York Times, I mean, it's a whole lot of shit, but he's upset that the New York Times endorsed Kamala Harris, which I was like, newspapers have endorsed the candidate of their choosing for, like, this has been a thing. Like, it was a whole thing that the Washington Post declined not to endorse Kamala Harris because they had endorsed a person for president for, I don't know, decades prior. And then with Kamala Harris, they decided finally, like, not to endorse anyone. They also didn't endorse Trump. But the New York Times has always done endorsements of presidents, but they are upset that the New York Times did not endorse him. They endorsed his opponent. So he accuses the New York Times of causing him significant harm to his reputation, to his business, which is weird because the lawsuit kind of reads in many parts like a press release. So he's saying that the New York Times says these terrible things about me, but in fact, I am this really wonderful person. And he talks about being on The Apprentice, which was like this high-rated reality show. He talks about the businesses that he owns. He talks about the properties that he owns, the products that he shills, the money that he's made. So I was like, so you're saying that they defamed you, but you've had this amazing run of financial success. So what exact harm did they cause by the things that they said? The other thing is the New York Times doesn't always get the perspective right. I will never get over them referring to what was the young guy from St. Louis? Was it Mike Brown? Where he was killed by police and they left the body laying in the street. And then when the New York Times finally covered the story, they referred to a teenager because they referred to him as, quote, no angel. And I was like, this is what you say about like a dead unarmed Black kid who just got killed by police? He was no angel? They also said Beyonce's debut album was trash and she was, quote, no Ashanti. And I was like, hey, I like Ashanti. But Beyonce is no Ashanti? Time has told a different story. We'll leave it at that. But the New York Times is considered a credible news organization in that they report, but they also fact check. They also have a team of lawyers. Basically, Trump's big accusation about the New York Times is that they report the true shit that he has done. He's talking about how the New York Times has damaged his reputation. And I was like, sir, are you not aware that you have 34 felonies? You were held liable in civil court for, was it assault? He makes a big distinction because I think somebody referred to it as rape. And he was like, I did not rape that woman. And of course, like he sued the New York Times and then he posted about it because he loves a long rant on social media. He wrote, quote, I have the great honor of bringing a $15 billion defamation and libel lawsuit against the New York Times, one of the worst and most degenerate newspapers in the history of our country, becoming a virtual, quote, mouthpiece for the radical left Democratic Party. There was no period in any of that. That's just one long sentence that I just wrote to you. He said, the New York Times, quote, I view it as the single largest illegal campaign contribution ever. Their endorsement of Kamala Harris was actually put dead center on the front page of the New York Times, something heretofore unheard of. The Times is engaged in decades-long method of lying about your favorite president, me, my family business, the America First movement, MAGA, and our nation as a whole. I'm reading this on the New Republic. They note that this lawsuit is, quote, a tried and true method for Trump. They note that he sued Disney's ABC and Paramount Global CBS News for defamation. Each of those entities settled the case for millions of dollars. So this is basically a money grab. However, the head of the New York Times, the publisher, was at a gala on Monday. He encouraged members of the media to, quote, stand up for your journalism, stand up for your journalists, stand up for your rights. If I'm correct, I believe he's suing the New York Times specifically, but he's also suing individual journalists. The New York Times has responded in a very short paragraph. They released a statement. They said, quote, this lawsuit has no merit. It lacks any legitimate legal claims and instead is an attempt to stifle and discourage independent reporting. The New York Times will not be deterred by intimidation tactics. We will continue to pursue the facts without fear or favor and stand up for journalists' First Amendment right to ask questions on behalf of the American people. I am so terrified for my profession right now. New York Times is just one tier of attack on the First Amendment. It's been going on for a while. Like, as the New Republic article mentioned, like, there's been an issue with CBS, there's been an issue with ABC, but also just, I mean, this one is for journalists, but also for, regular American people. Since Charlie Kirk's killing, there has been a full throttle attack on the freedom of speech. People have been fired from their jobs for literally quoting Charlie Kirk. We talked about what happened with the gentleman at MSNBC who was let go. And the stance of the U.S. government is Charlie Kirk is free to say whatever he wanted, but you cannot say about him. They keep accusing people who are not mourning his death of celebrating his death. And I was like, there's a difference between being like, ha ha, like, I'm glad you're dead, versus being like, I feel nothing. I don't care. It's sad. He has young children. Political violence, violence overall, should not be condoned. It's terrible that he was killed, especially in the manner in which he was killed. The idea that we must mourn him, and there's been a full push trying to get people to like care or mourn. When people speak, when people write, when people get on video, like all this stuff is documented. Even if JD Vance wants to get on Charlie Kirk's podcast and speak directly to his audience, his millions of people in his audience, he got on that podcast. The Vice President of the United States gets on the podcast and says, Charlie Kirk never said anything disparaging about Black women. Like, he never said that Black women don't have the brain processing power. That's not what he said. And like, literally, we've all seen the clip of him saying it. And JD Vance is trying to make a distinction to say that he said it about 4 specific women, but not because they were Black. But then also he said it about these 4 people, and that doesn't apply to everyone. That's just how he felt about these 4 women. And I was like, how are you making this distinction? How do 4 Black women with, I want to say, like 7 degrees between them? Poor Joy-Ann Reid, with her 1 Harvard degree, is the least educated of the bunch. Look at that batch of women. Some of the most educated Black women in America, and you're saying that their brains can't process and they stole their jobs from white people. Huh? But that's not racist. It's over and over throughout our media, even conversations. This is why I was like, I got to log off, because like y'all trying to make me think like the sky ain't blue. Then calling it stupid is to be dismissive. It's very intentional whitewashing of a narrative. If they're doing this, the powers that be, literally the federal government, but also like people who practice whiteness, I don't just necessarily mean white people. People who practice and uphold whiteness can be anybody. If they're trying to rewrite the narrative when we literally have video and audio in front of our faces, if they're willing to do that now, how much have they whitewashed all this time? Candace Owens is online acting like the grieved wife. And I was like, were y'all fucking? That's my best friend. Like, she went full, what's the dude from Django? Samuel Jackson played the character, the butler. Nigga on a nag. That's one of the best scenes in cinema. Why is that nigga on that nag? Okay, that's not the point. That's Candace Owens right now. Like, she's having full meltdown. She's got all these conspiracy theories. She thinks Charlie Kirk was targeted by billionaires who were trying to control him, but he couldn't be controlled. And she crashing out over this man. And I was like, yeah, something. How you got more emotion than his wife does? I mean, mind you, the wife is probably in shock. Still, I got my own issues with the wife. I talked about it in my previous episode. I'm not going to belabor that, because I think, not even I think, she said as much. Like, she's going to continue her husband's mission. And I'm like, of white supremacy? Okay. There's still a part of me that feels like, damn, like your husband and the father of your kid, that's a big blow. We ain't even had this man's funeral yet, and it's not going to get any better. His funeral, not a stadium, it's in an arena. I think they said it seats 70,000 people. And Trump is speaking, JD Vance is speaking, the widow is speaking. They got like an all-star lineup of like the top of MAGA. Y'all gonna fuck around and treat this like a televised Nazi rally. Oh, God. Oh, God. Dear Leader is actually in the UK right now. He landed last night. I think it was in Windsor. And upon greeting, someone had the trolling of the British is out of control. They projected a image of Trump and Epstein onto, it looked like a piece of a castle. I mean, it's Windsor Castle. projected a gigantic photo. That's what he saw when he got off the plane in Windsor. That's what he was greeted with. And I was like, the petty in me sees the petty in you and raises a glass. Oh, there's a memorial. I'm going through the list of crazy. There was a memorial for Charlie Kirk. I want to say it was at the Kennedy Center. Some lady got on stage. I don't know who she is, but some lady got on stage. She was telling the parents in the audience not to send their children to college and university because they're liberal indoctrination centers. The current narrative of Charlie Kirk's shooter is he was raised properly by proper Republican MAGA parents in one of the whitest, most conservative places on earth. But he went to college, which I think he stayed for maybe like a year, a semester. No, that was Charlie. Charlie didn't make it through a first semester. I think this guy stayed for like a year. The idea they're pushing now is that, he might have been raised in this conservative, gun-toting, Mormon, heterosexual, all-white environment, but then he went off to college, and his brief time there turned him into some crazed, violent liberal, which is what led him to shoot Charlie Kirk. Do you see the text messages that they're trying to convince us a 23-year-old wrote? Charlie Kirk's alleged shooter has officially been charged. I read the charging document last night. Multiple counts, one of them being aggravated murder, a capital felony. They are seeking the death penalty in this case. Count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury. Count 3, obstruction of justice. Count 4, obstruction of justice. Count 5, tampering with a witness. Count 6, tampering with a witness. Apparently he told the roommate, the transsexual roommate, they're trying to convince us, the U.S. government, the powers that be in Utah, I don't know I don't know who. The shit don't make no sense. Some powers that be, B613, I don't know, are trying to convince us that he texted his roommate / lover and told the roommate if the police come asking questions to stay silent. And then he also, in his text confession to the roommate, told the roommate to delete the text messages. So those are the 2 tampering with witness charges. And then violent offense committed in the presence of a child. It is alleged that he shot Charlie Kirk. It was an environment where young people under 14 were present. They may have seen or heard what happened. This is page 3 of the lawsuit. This is the narrative that they're going with now. On September 10, approximately 12:23 p.m., Charlie Kirk was shot and killed while speaking to a large crowd on the campus of Utah Valley University. Police found a suspected murder weapon, a rifle, nearby. Over the next approximately 33 hours, police conducted a manhunt for the shooter until the evening of September 11th, when Tyler James Robinson surrendered to the police at the sheriff's office. It said the DNA is consistent with what was found on the rifle trigger. They said after shooting Kirk, Robinson hid the gun, discarded the clothing he wore when he fired the rifle, and told his lover roommate to delete incriminating text messages and not to talk to police. Okay, skipping ahead in the lawsuit, talk about the rifle, the murder weapon, alleged. Each round in the rifle contained an etched inscription as follows. The first cartridge, notices bulge, NOTICES, bulge. I don't know what that means. OWO, what's this? I have no idea what this means. Let's Google. The New York Post has a story. Furries, like the sex people. I watched a lot of Taxi Cab Confessions growing up. Okay, wait. I'm reading on the New York Post. The high-powered rifle round that killed Charlie Kirk featured a meme that is widely used in both pro-transgender sex and furry subcultures on the internet. The latest clue about the motives of alleged assassin Tyler Robinson. OWO in his emoticon of a cute face with the O's as the eyes and the W as the mouth or nose. It can be used as a way of flirting or in a sardonic way to troll others. Okay. The second cartridge, hey fastest, exclamation point, catch, exclamation point, arrow symbols. Third cartridge, oh, Bella Child, Bella Child, Bella Child, Child, Child. What was that movie on Netflix? TV series. With the mask. It was like a global sensation. It was huge. It was about some people doing a bank heist, and they had like red jumpsuits and masks. Money Heist. That was the name of it. Wasn't Bella Ciao the theme song for that? I'm not making that up. And then the fourth cartridge read, "If you read this, you are gay." LMAO, laughing my ass off. People have said online, I'm just telling you what one of the theories that's out there, that the writings on the cartridge are something from followers of like Nick Fuentes. Do you remember the guy who, after Roe v. Wade got turned over, he said, "It's your body, but it's my choice"? He seemed almost giddy that men had control over women's bodies. And then he got doxxed and people found out he was like literally living in his mother's basement. Okay. Him. But they're saying that people who follow him, these are some of the things that they say. It's a theory that's been floating around the internet. Still reading, skipping ahead. On the evening of September 11th, Tyler James Robinson, the alleged shooter, turned himself in to the sheriff's office with his parents and a family friend in tow. Robinson's mother told police that the day after the shooting, his mother saw the photo of the shooter in the news and thought the shooter looked like her son. The mother expressed concern to her husband that the shooter looked like her son, and the father agreed. The mother apparently told the police that over the last year, her son had become more political and had started to lean more to the left. Really? Mom says he became more pro-gay and trans rights oriented. I'm just reading to you what's in the lawsuit, people. She said that he began to date his roommate, a biological male who was transitioning genders. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his father, who have very different political views. In one conversation before the shooting, Robinson mentioned that Charlie Kirk would be holding an event at UVU, which Robinson said, quote, was a stupid venue for the event. Robinson accused Kirk of spreading hate. Robinson's father reported that his wife showed him the surveillance image of the suspected shooter in the news. He agreed that it looked like his son. He also believed that the rifle the police suspected the shooter used matched a rifle that was given to the son as a gift. Robinson's father spoke on the phone with Son. Son implied that he planned to take his own life. Son's parents were able to convince him to meet them at their home. The parents say that they had a discussion with the son. Robinson, that's the son, implied that he was Charlie Kirk's shooter and stated that he couldn't go to jail and just wanted to end it. The parents asked why he did it. Parents say he explained there's too much evil and the guy, Charlie Kirk, spreads too much hate. This is bullshit. Like, if you give me something specific, he said X about transgender people. He said X about single women. He said X about Black women. He said X about public executions. Like, but just, he spreads too much hate. It's so general. It says the parents talked to the son about turning himself in. They convinced him to speak with a family friend who was a retired deputy sheriff. It said at the father's request, the family friend met with the son and the parents, and they convinced the son to turn himself in. Look, I asked my mom when the story broke that the parents had been the ones to turn him in. And I was like, Mommy, if I did some crazy shit, like if I went and, shot somebody, especially in a situation like this, they're seeking the death penalty, there's a manhunt, like the president is involved. And I was like, would you have turned me in? And she was like, not turning my child in. And is this their only child? There's no mention of other siblings. That's part of my mother's logic too. And she was like, you are my only child. No. Even if you deserve to go to the wolves, I'm not sending my only child to the wolves. The family friend spoke to police and told the son, Robinson, it'd be best if he brought all evidence with him to the sheriff's office to avoid police having to search his parents' home. The family friend also asked Robinson if he had the clothes that were related to what he did. The son said he disposed of the clothes in different areas. You got that part right. So wait, he had enough sense to discard the gun, even though he didn't wipe it, which I was like, bruh, this is basic Law and Order, but he's young. He's below the Law and Order crowd. Because he knew to discard the clothes in different locations. Like, he knew to do that, but he didn't know to wipe the gun. He knew to discard his clothes in different locations, and then he still texted a confession to his roommate. Huh? That sound right to you? This is page 8. The roommate. It says police interviewed Robinson's roommate, a biological male who was involved in a romantic relationship with Robinson. They calling the person a roommate, but I'm like, that's your partner. The roommate told police that the roommate received messages from Robinson about the shooting and provided those messages to the police. This is the story they're going with. The roommate received a text message from Robinson which said, "Drop what you are doing. Look under my keyboard." The roommate said they looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." You left a note for your roommate that you were headed out to kill somebody. Not like, "Hey, roommate, headed to the store. Call me if you need anything. I'll be back soon. Hey, I got the chance to go kill somebody. Hit me up if you need anything." Huh? The roommate said they read the note and they responded, "What? You're joking, right?" There's a text transcript. I don't know who they consulted on the tone and speaking of 21 and 22-year-olds. No one texts like this. I'm over double the kid's age and I don't even text like this. They got two people in their early 20s writing back and forth like it's Bridgerton. What prompt did y'all give AI to come up with these text messages? I understand you're trying to create a narrative that this unhinged liberal has done something terrible so you can unleash fury on liberals. This is the equivalent of, like, I want to say Slim Charles trying to tell Avon, like, we fight on this lie. We all know it's a lie. We know it's not true, but this is the narrative that's out there. This is the narrative that we want to be out there, and we got to fight based on that. That's what they're trying to do. So they've created this crazy text exchange. The alleged shooter, Robinson, he texts the roommate, "I am still okay, my love, but I'm stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you." To which the roommate responds, "You weren't the one who did it, right?" Alleged shooter, "I am. I'm sorry." The roommate, "I thought they caught the person." The alleged shooter, "No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering." The roommate, "Why?" The alleged shooter, "Why did I do it?" The roommate, "Yeah." Robinson, "I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I'm able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it." Roommate, "How long have you been planning this?" Robinson, "A bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there's a squad car parked right by it. I think they've already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it." Also, alleged shooter, "I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. I don't even know if it had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about Prince. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find Prince. How the fuck will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The fucking messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notices bulge UWU on Fox News, new instead of news, I might have a stroke. All right, I'm gonna have to leave it. That really fucking sucks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine. I think that was a $2,000 scope. The roommate stops dialoguing with him. He follows up to the roommate, "Delete this exchange." He also says, "My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it is very unique. He's calling me right now, not answering." Also, alleged shooter, "Since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA." Also, Robinson, still no response from the roommate. He just texting away, every thought in his head. Time-stamped transcripts of criminal behavior. Okay, sure. He says, "I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is a deputy for the sheriff. You are all I worry about, love. I'm much more worried about you. Don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent." 22-year-olds write like this? A 70-year-old who loves Bridgerton wrote this. Nothing about this shit makes sense. Last but not least, oh no, can we also just real briefly just talk about South Korea? The Hyundai plant? My whole life I've called it Hyundai, and South Koreans have been on TikTok giving us pronunciation lessons. The South Koreans who were rounded up by ICE at the Hyundai plant, the South Koreans got back home and then started talking about the deplorable conditions that they were placed in. Korean newspapers have been reporting on the, quote, nightmarish conditions Korean work were contained in after they were picked up by ICE. This is what's circulating around. It says, quote, their waist and hands were tied together, forcing them to bend down and lick water to drink. Like they were dogs? Continues. The unscreened bathrooms contained only a single sheet to cover their lower bodies. Sunlight barely penetrated through a fist-sized hole, and they were only allowed access to the small yard for 2 hours. Detained by U.S. immigration authorities for 8 days, the workers and their families expressed shock, describing human rights violations and absurdities they could not have imagined as ordinary Koreans living in 2025. There's still some question as to whether Hyundai will continue to build the plant in America, because for obvious reasons, they're pissed at how their people were treated. One of the big kickers to this story, there's an international outcry about the South Korean workers who have been picked up and held, right? There's a flight arranged to take them back to South Korea. They want to go back as quickly as possible because of the conditions are so bad. I want to say they were in there for 8 days. They could have been in there for 7, but Trump got involved and tried to convince them to stay. And it took a day of negotiation. So they had to live in these deplorable conditions for another day to go back and forth with Trump. I think out of all of them, I think it was over 300, one of them agreed to stay. Everybody else went home. And the interviews that they've given since they got back were like, yeah, I don't really see it. Like, somebody got to go over there because, like, you know, Americans don't know what they're doing. Somebody got to teach them, but it's not going to be me. Get somebody else to do it, essentially. I was reading something the other day and people were like, why did the South Koreans have to be there? Like, it's a plant in America. They should have hired Americans. Well, because Americans don't know how to use the machinery because it's South Korean technology. And also, all the instructions were in Korean. Dear Leader put out something the other day. He released some message where he was basically begging, but also insulting other countries about bringing their business to the U.S. And he was like, yeah, like, y'all can come and you can build your businesses and you can teach our workers. You know, we'll do what America always does. And like, we'll learn from you and then we'll best you. And then we'll be the best in the world in no time. And I was like, so I was like, so you're going to steal people's shit again? Again? You ever saw the video? A little girl trying to talk to her aunt. And the auntie was like, I got to go to work. And she was like, but you went to work yesterday. And she was like, yeah, I got to go to work again. And she was like, again? Again? I was like, that's how I feel, baby girl. That's how I feel. I have Charlemagne and Damon Dash crashing out. He always crashes out. I saw one clip. He said to Charlemagne, he was like, I think you're gay. Charlemagne was like, I think you're broke. I'm reading this on Vibe. This is part of the same exchange between them. Dame Dash told Charlemagne, you're acting like a girl. And Charlemagne responded, you move like an auntie. You're a whole Harlem auntie. Can't make me hate him. He gets on my damn nerves. I talk about him sometimes. The whole fiasco with, like, you know, Lauren and Jess and then Charlemagne and Envy, like, egging it on. I was very displeased with Charlemagne in that situation, but I can't let him go. One of my problematic faves. It is what it is. We're going to save Nick Cannon admitting that he shouldn't have had 12 kids. He said he went and had all them kids after he got a divorce because he hadn't healed from his divorce with Mariah. And I was like, we been said this shit. But he acknowledges now that it wasn't a good idea to go have all them kids, which I was like, you couldn't have figured this out at, like, I don't know, like, kid 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 kids. I saw Beyonce. There's something about Beyonce went to a gala. She was sitting at the table with the Trump daughter, the blonde Ivanka, and her husband. I don't know what y'all want me to do with that story. Some billionaires sat at a table together during a fundraising event. People make it seem like Beyonce and Jay-Z are, like, in cahoots with the Kushners. And I mean, maybe or not. That's beyond my pay grade. I don't find anything inherently wrong at sitting at the same table with people. I don't feel like sitting at the table is an endorsement. Last but not least, last but not least, last but not least, there has been one, maybe two incidents in Mississippi of men, one confirmed Black, hanging from trees this week. I say one, maybe two, because one of them, people are still trying to determine whether the gentleman was Black, and there hasn't been a great deal of reporting on that story. One of the stories, the gentleman definitely was Black. It has not been determined to be a lynching at this time. A 20-year-old student, a Black man, was found, his body was found hanging from a tree in the middle of campus on Monday morning. Delta State University is a 100-year-old institution. Police held a press conference on Monday afternoon, and they said that they don't suspect that foul play was involved, choosing my words carefully, in the situation in which a body of a Black man, 21-year-old student, was found hanging from this tree in the middle of campus near the pickleball course. Random detail. The deputy coroner told the Mississippi Free Press that contrary to rumors on social media, that the body did not have broken arms or legs. Officials have said that there is going to be an investigation into the death of this young man, Trey Reed, is what he goes by. But officials have said an investigation into his death is ongoing. They have no further comment on his passing, and they're waiting for the release of the full autopsy before releasing further information. I'm giving you just the facts that are being reported. I think I read that attorney Ben Crump, civil rights attorney, is looking into this case to see what all happened. Because for obvious reasons, especially given the current environment of political discourse, social mayhem, people are jumping to assume the absolute worst, self included. If I was having this conversation with friends in the group chat, I would not be choosing my words as carefully. I've just recognized that, like, in this capacity, I can say wild shit about certain subjects, but I feel like there's a responsibility to be measured and factual about others, especially something as serious as this. If I can take my journalist hat off for a moment while keeping the same ethics. A 21-year-old Black kid hanging themselves, committing suicide. Okay, I know, unfortunately, 2 Black guys that have committed suicide. I just can't wrap my mind around a 20-year-old Black dude going to kill himself by hanging in the center of campus. You tell me he did this in his dorm room, in his apartment, something like that. Like, hanging is just a very brutal way to go. Some people want to go out brutally. It just seems very sketchy to me. I will follow this story and see where it goes. I am deeply invested in finding out what happened to this young man. But the idea that, like, a kid has been lynched is, for obvious reasons, like, terrifying, horrifying, painful, like, disgusting, like, just, oh my God. Ben Crump, I'm reading this on, where is this from? Cleveland, Mississippi. They are reporting Ben Crump announced he has been retained by the family of Trey Reed a day after he was found hanging from a tree on the school's campus. And Mr. Crump says Trey Reed was a young man full of promise and warmth, deeply loved and respected by all who knew him. His family and the campus community deserve a full independent investigation to uncover the truth about what happened. We cannot accept vague conclusions when so many questions remain. Agreed. Let's hope that we get a truthful outcome, because there is no best in this sort of situation. A 21-year-old hanging from a tree, like, there's no upside to that story. Whether it's suicide, which is bad, or he was murdered, lynched, I can't. This is a lot. We didn't cover everything. Did we talk about Cory Booker and old boy Cash Patel going back and forth over the Epstein files? Like, total fucking crash out. I say crazy shit sometimes when I record and then I edit it out on the back end because, like, I said on literally the last episode, the bonus episode for Monday, I was like, everything I think does not need to be said. But one of the things that I think I did say and then cut out was I was talking about Cory Booker. I actually think I did say it about being like a human golden retriever. And he actually seems like he's very qualified at his job, but he also seems like almost like too good. It's as in goodness, for the environment that he's in. Like you kind of need some treacherous folks. And I was like, he just seems like too pure of a person. And the person I actually said that to was like, he's been like a politician for a really long time. Like you don't get to get the power and keep it for as long as he has, especially as a black senator, without having, like a little dog in you somewhere. And I was like, fair, fair. I had never seen that side of Cory Booker until he started arguing with Cash Patel. And he was like, Cash Patel said some spicy shit to him. And he was like, hey, I got a feeling this is going to be like your last hearing. You're not going to be around very long. He was like, you're like a lapdog for Trump. And he don't really usually keep people like you around very long. So, enjoy your 15 minutes, essentially. And I was like, Senator Booker, I didn't know you had it in you. But I'm kind of glad he does. Is there anything else? I mean, other than Cash Patel bold-facedly lying and saying that there is no Epstein list. He was like, yeah, Epstein was his only client. What? We talked about free speech a little bit, but Pam Bondi is trying to like get rid of free speech for everybody. This woman who worked at Office Depot, some folks came in, they wanted to do a memorial for Charlie Kirk, and she was like, no, nope. And the people were like, it's a peaceful event, like we're doing a vigil for him, and she was like, nope. Office Depot, like in our policies, we have a right to turn down work that we feel is, propaganda, political, whatever. And the guy was like, well, it's just a memorial. And she was like, well, no. She's black. No. So the guy recorded her and went online and Office Depot fired her. And I was like, but it's literally in your policy that you have the right to turn down what you consider propaganda. And I would say that Charlie Kirk, although not a political figure in life, has been politicized immensely in death. I feel like she was operating by company policy by refusing to turn down the work. She was fired nevertheless. And I was like, honey, you take your day or so to, lick your wounds about, I can't believe this shit happened to me. Or that, like, fucking Pam Bondi, the actual Attorney General of the United States, is trying to prosecute an Office Depot worker, threatening her with federal charges. But you go ahead and you lawyer up, honey, and you go ahead and sue the fuck out of Office Depot and then make them pay your attorney fees. I know your dream in life was not working at Office Depot, but you go ahead and sue Office Depot and you make them pay for you to pursue your fucking dream. I'm looking up when his funeral is. Sunday, September 21st. It's going to be a long week next week, too. That thing is going to be a televised Nazi rally. I'm actually kind of surprised that Trump is speaking at it because there was a memorial for him. Was that the one at the Kennedy Center? The lady who was like, tell your kids not to go to college because it's like leftist indoctrination, turn them into like a violent liberal leftist killer, whatever. Trump ain't even go. I was like, I thought you said this man was like a son to you. You didn't go? A reporter asked him, they were like, hey, Charlie Kirk, you said he was like a son to you. How you holding up, President Trump? And he was like, I'm good. We about to start work on this new addition to the White House, the big ballroom. It's going to be beautiful, big and beautiful, the best ever. The bestest, biggest, beautiful thing ever in life. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Jesus. In the time since I've recorded this episode and done the first round of edits, Jimmy Kimmel, his show, Jimmy Kimmel Live, has been pulled and he's on indefinite hiatus because of comments that he made about Charlie Kirk on Monday's episode. Nexstar Media Group, they're the major broadcast company that serves as the primary affiliate for ABC, of which Jimmy Kimmel's show airs. This is in full the quote that they took issue with. During his monologue on Monday, Kimmel said, quote, we hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. I'm reading this on the New York Post. I'm specifically reading on the New York Post. They lean MAGA. They're referring to it as Kimmel, quote, unleashed a hateful tirade against the gunned down conservative activists. That's a hateful tirade? Really? That? I specifically went and read on New York Post and not a more liberal publication to see if the liberal publications were sort of cleaning up what Kimmel said. They were just posting a mild part of it, but this is the part and the only part that's being quoted in New York Post as well. According to New York Post, Jimmy Kimmel is, quote, fucking livid over his show being pulled. Absolutely fucking livid is the full quote. The producer said the pissed late night host is currently meeting with the network. They said Kimmel said this is his, quote, last straw with ABC, and he is actively looking to break out of his contract and end his relationship with the network. According to an unnamed source, Jimmy is pissed over the decision to suspend him and the show, and he isn't going to take this lightly, as he is actively looking for ways to get out of his contract. Another source said they've never seen Kimmel this angry. I can only imagine. Obviously, I'm not Jimmy Kimmel, and I read the story and was pissed. This is the statement that Sinclair, the nation's largest ABC affiliate group, just released. It said they object to recent comments made by Mr. Kimmel concerning the assassination of Charlie Kirk. It said Mr. Kimmel's remarks were, quote, inappropriate and deeply insensitive at a critical moment for our country. Is it really that critical? I mean, the government is making it into such, but the actual thing, again, because I'm trying not to get my podcast shut down, the man should not have been shot. Full stop. He did not deserve to be shot. Full stop. They're turning it into a moment, which is essentially what Kimmel said. But did he lie? This is according to Vice Chairman Jason Smith. Quote, we believe broadcasters have a responsibility to educate and elevate respectful, constructive dialogue in our communities. We appreciate FCC Chairman Carr's remarks today, and this incident highlights the critical need for the FCC to take immediate regulatory action to address control held over local broadcasters by big national networks. There's a deal on the table with Nexstar, and they need the FCC to sign off on it. That's where this is coming from. Instead of airing Jimmy Kimmel Live, Sinclair's ABC stations will air a special in remembrance of Charlie Kirk this Friday during Jimmy Kimmel Live's time slot. The special will also air across all Sinclair stations this weekend. In addition, Sinclair is offering the special to all ABC affiliates across the country. What the fuck? This man, he was not a president. They didn't even do all this when Carter died. Bush died. They didn't do all this. Sinclair will not lift the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel Live on our stations until formal discussions are held with ABC regarding the network's commitment to professionalism and accountability. Translation, until y'all agree to bend the knee and agree to censorship. Sinclair also called upon Mr. Kimmel to issue a direct apology to the Kirk family. For what? If anything, the Kirk family should be complaining how the administration is politicizing the murder of a husband and a father. But maybe they with the shits. Furthermore, we asked Mr. Kimmel to make a meaningful personal donation to the Kirk family and Turning Point USA. Okay. They want him to bend the knee. He is refusing. Donate to the Kirk family. They had $12 million on their own. They just grifted $5 million after his death. Now they want Kimmel to make, quote and unquote, a meaningful personal donation, not to the family, who already is worth millions, and then also to Turning Point USA. Y'all want him to fund some shit that he fundamentally does not believe in. Kimmel, it's been a great run. It's time for you to go sit at another table. All the money you made these people, get up from the table when love is no longer being served. You gotta go, bruh. Gotta go. Rolling Stone also is covering this story. They've put it under the tag silenced. It says Kimmel was taken off the air by ABC and Nexstar after a threat from Trump's FCC chair. Quote, they were pissing themselves all day, one ABC insider says. Jimmy Kimmel is the latest late-night host to be pulled from a major network after the comedian made remarks about the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, preempted indefinitely the president of Nexstar's broadcasting division. Continuing to give Mr. Kimmel a broadcast platform in the communities we serve is simply not in the public interest at this time. I am the public. I am interested. We have made the difficult decision to preempt his show in an effort to let cooler heads prevail as we move toward the resumption of respectful, constructive dialogue, censored dialogue. What the fuck is happening to freedom of speech? Oh my God. Fox News took Kimmel's comments to mean that he suggested that the Kirk shooter was part of the MAGA gang, though that's not really what he said. Pause. I don't want to hear shit from Fox about anything right now. They had a host who got on TV and advocated for the execution of mentally ill homeless people. Tell me you're a Nazi without telling me you're a Nazi, literally from the Hitler playbook. A couple days later, after a widespread outcry, he apologized to viewers. He said that his remark was extremely callous, but he has not been fired. He has not been removed from airways. He just got a slap on the wrist like he accidentally cursed on TV, and they're just moving on. The chairman, Brendan Carr, the chairman of the FCC, publicly called on licensed broadcasters to stop airing Kimmel's show. This is his statement. I think that it's really sort of past time that a lot of these licensed broadcasters themselves push back on Comcast and Disney and say, listen, we are going to preempt. We are not going to run Kimmel anymore until you straighten this out, because we licensed broadcaster, are running the possibility of fines or license revocation from the FCC if we continue to run content that ends up being a pattern of news distortion. What? News distortion. They're calling dissenting opinions news distortion. This is up there with old girl that got that facelift talking about, they're facts and they're alternative facts. Girl, what? He said, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct and take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead. So he threatened them. Rolling Stone editorialized the decisions by Nexstar and ABC to silence Kimmel over relatively innocuous comments is the latest sign of how terrified major corporations and media companies have grown of the second Trump administration. The president and his lieutenants have made clear that they're willing to leverage the full weight of the federal government against networks and their parent companies, especially if TV personalities or comedians on the network say anything that annoy Trump. In the hours leading up to the decision to pull Kimmel, two sources familiar with the matter say senior executives at ABC, its owners, Disney, and affiliates convened emergency meetings to figure out how to minimize the damage. Multiple execs felt that Kimmel had not said anything over the line, but the threat of the Trump administration loomed. Here's the part. Chairman of FCC, his demand that licensed broadcasters refuse to air Kimmel's show and Nexstar's quick compliance with this request comes as the company prepares a corporate merger that will require FCC approval. Nexstar is already America's largest owner of TV stations, and its $6.2 billion merger with Tenga would allow them to get even larger. Rolling Stone also notes, Kimmel, a vocal critic of the Trump administration, advised his audience to respond with empathy in the aftermath of Kirk's death. He said, instead of the angry finger pointing, can we just for one day agree that it is horrible and monstrous to shoot another human? On behalf of my family, we send love to the Kirks and to all the children, parents, and innocents who fall victim to senseless gun violence. And they suspended him, nevertheless. I'm done. Let me know about the See Some World merch. Talk. Maybe Monday. Definitely not Friday. All right. Bye.